the big question for yourself is like, are you willing to actionize and live what you're setting out to do?
It's a me statement. I need to take a movement. And if my heart is willing, but my feet are moored into the concrete, why?
They want something different, but they're not willing to do anything different.
Get out of the way. Honey, you can't ride 2 horses with 1 ass. That's it. You just can't. If you want to make the transition, you can't retain control and let go of control simultaneously.
Yeah.
So you have to be willing to open up that hand and let go of that control so the next person can step forward. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Scaling the Gap. I am so excited to share our guest with you today. She is incredible, has a really interesting wealth of knowledge that I think you guys are going to find really, really interesting because she brings a perspective that many of you will tune into very nicely, but she works with businesses that are generally a little bit bigger than the business owner and people that we work with. So we'll see what she has to say. I think you're going to find a lot of interest and inspiration in what Brandi brings to the table. So Brandi, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Delighted to have you. So why don't we kick things off with you sharing with our audience a little bit about who you are and the work you do in this world?
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Like you said, my name is Brandi Marek. I am a business advisor with Ferguson Alliance. And what we do is we specialize only in family-owned businesses. So the best way I have found to describe what we do is you think you've got attorneys who are very legal. You've got accountants who are very numbers driven. And then there's us who kind of think about us as like the cartilage between all of those things, kind of figuring out the nuances, more of the intangible things that happen inside a business, from the family dynamics to succession planning, leadership development, all of the things that make a business run. We help kind of figure out where it's hurting, what solutions there may be in order to do that. And so I got here was my family was actually a former client of Ferguson Alliance. My husband's family has a business and I worked in it along with my husband. And in that process of kind of trying for us to sort everything out, figure everything out, working with Ferguson, I really kind of thought, it's definitely more up my alley to help people that are just like me. And I could see the value because there's just not a lot of people that can really know and understand what it's like to be a family member in a family-owned business, and how to do that. So that's how I got here today. That's about a 20-year career path. So
it's that work 20 years for it and suddenly overnight success, right? Like you've been working and working and working. Yeah, it's really cool, I think, how towards this stage in our career, because I'm about 20 years into my career too, things kind of come together in like a really harmonic way. Like this expertise and this thing that you've actually worked so hard and sometimes blood, sweat, and teared your way to kind of come together to unite to give you this vast, this space of authority to speak from, this well of experience and space of authority in this specific area. And for you, it's family business because you've been guided through it, you've lived it, and now you're supporting others through it too. So it's pretty cool.
And develop like an appreciation for experience. I always tell clients when we started working with Ferguson Alliance ourselves, I was much earlier in my career and my general sense was like, okay, I know exactly what we need to do and I don't have time to be doing this. And I don't understand why we're paying somebody else to tell us what we need to do. I know what we need to do. Just pay me more to do it, And so, now with some experience under me, I can definitely tell you I did not know what I was doing and I did not know what needed to be done. And so, it's interesting to reflect back and see
that pathway. Yeah, I find that very cool too. And in terms of family businesses, you're not dealing with, mom and pop shops with just, 2 people slugging it out, doing $500,000, doing $250,000. You're kind of in that lower middle market. So tell our listeners a little bit what that means to you.
Yeah. So lower middle market trust is typically is around 20 million to 150 million in revenue. Now we do have clients that are below that.
Sure.
But again, you know, we also just really don't want to enter an engagement if it doesn't make financial sense for the
Sure.
client either.
Yeah.
But we do a lot of content development, and we really try to have a ton of resources so that maybe if from a financial perspective, we're not a right fit to work directly with us, that you can really still learn a ton from our website and our videos and things like that. Yeah.
I love that. Right up my alley. I love that.
Yeah.
Content development and giving away the educational component part so that people can climb to the place where then they can work with you, right? Like, so
yeah. And that's a big center point of our methodology as well, is that, I think a lot of times when people think advisors or business consultants, they think like somebody comes in, they do the work, they kind of hand you this piece of paper.
Yeah.
And that's really not how we operate either. We really approach it from like a mindset point of view, with the understanding that in order for this to be successful, like, you as the person in the business have to be in the mindset that you want to change, that you're willing to do the work. And so I always kind of joke that, like, we also should have got degrees in psychology, because a lot of it centers around mindset and like, are you ready to make this change? Are you ready to figure out why you're blocked? And so anybody can write up a process. Anybody can make you a vision or a mission. You can find that anywhere. The big question for yourself is like, are you willing to actionize and live what you're setting out to do? Because if you're not ready yet, and you can't figure out why you're not ready yet, then that's the work you got to do. You got to figure that out first, or none of it's going to work.
Yeah. I love the word actionize. That's a brand new word for me. I'm a word nerd. Wrote that down. I put a star by it. Love that word. But it's really, what are you willing to give towards it? Right? Like,
totally.
You might want it, but what are you willing to give to go get it? Right. Yep. So there are two different stages. The first stage is the wanting stage. You have to want to do it. You have to want the thing. And then you have to want to do the steps to get the thing. They're actually two stages of the journey. And
very different.
They're very different, right? Because actionizing means I can't just theoretically think, okay, this is something that would be nice to have, or be nice to do, or be nice to achieve, or be nice to fill in the blank. It's a me statement. I need to take a movement. And if my heart is willing, but my feet are moored into the concrete, why? Like, I love that you have to figure out what is keeping you blocked. What do you find that what keeps people blocked? Like, how do you approach that? How do you help them get through that?
A lot of times it can be things, I would say some of the things at the top that I see are, one, someone is in a role because they feel obligated to be in that role. It's like a legacy thing, or, they grew up their whole lives, and their family was like, this is what you're going to do. And this, everybody's always done this, or everybody works in the business, or, all of the things. So there's this obligation there, and they actually don't want to do it. And so getting someone to say out loud, like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'd rather be, a doctor or whatever it may be. They don't want to do it. That's one thing. Two, they're just tired. They have been like spinning their wheels. And this was really kind of in my personal case, is just like ill-equipped to solve the problem, and feeling like you have to be the one that figures it out, and that you just can't. And then you just get exhausted, and you're like, I don't know what else to do. I would say those are the two big blocks. And then, there is some ego to that as well. People feel like they have, that they're the only person that can do it. Not that they have to, that they're the only person that can.
Right.
And so then, I've had a couple clients where that's been really challenging, because they want something different, but they're not willing to do anything different.
Get out of the way. Yeah.
So I would say those are the big ones.
Yeah, I love that. So there's this really simple technique that I teach people, and it's something I've taught for a long, long time, called the 3 T's. When you're blocked, you have to go through the checklist of the 3 T's, and it's, have you had the time, the tools, and the training? Or have you
Yes.
provided the person you're asking to do that job with the time, the tools, and the training to achieve the outcome you're asking? And
That's
if you
huge.
have like time, tools, and training, if you have those three things, do they understand the why behind, right? The meaning is the ultimate, like, do they understand why? And have you provided them with the time, the tools, and the training? And not just have you given them the time, but have you given them your time, right? Because
Yes.
sometimes the person delegating the authority or delegating the task needs to give of themselves. And that's that, what are you willing to give to get it, right? Sometimes the thing you need to give is your own time and attention towards fostering the capacity of the person you believe has the capacity, but they don't. They don't see it for themselves, or they've never done it before and they feel intimidated. They don't know where to start, but you believe so much in them that they don't want to let you down, right? So that's such an interesting parallel because that's said in different language towards the same outcome. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that because that is so true.
Right. Yeah.
So
it's a really helpful checklist to run through, like, okay, and what does the tools for this specific outcome mean? What does the training for this specific outcome mean? Because it, one, change the title on the top of the page and what's inside of that checklist is going to change pretty dramatically. But it's a very good tool for yourself as the leader to hold yourself accountable, to have I set the people up for success who I'm expecting to drive the success.
Yes. And I think too, as someone at the top, the leaders, they often forget that there are tools available to them as well. They just have to go looking for them. They think like, well, there's nowhere else for me to run it up the chain.
Sure.
So I have to be the one that figures it out. And they don't realize that there's so many resources out there.
Yeah. And sometimes you have to get out, right? You have to get out. You can't go inward because you don't have it. Right?
And you've been in enough. You need to get out of you.
I love that. Actionizing, and you've been in enough.
Like, we've had enough of you, and we need
to make space. The other thing that you talked about was, people's ego preventing them from making that space for others or from getting out of the way. And my dad used to say this in such a funny way. He always had just kind of a little bit rough sense of humor, but I loved it. He said, "Honey, you can't ride 2 horses with 1 ass. That's it. You just can't." Right. So you have to choose your own role, right? You can't hold this role and that role at the simultaneous time. And if your butt is in that seat, no one else can sit in it.
Yep.
You can't be mad at someone else for not stepping forward into a space that you are occupying, right? The universe abhors a vacuum.
Yeah.
So you get out of the way, someone will step in to fill it. But if you're standing there, there's no...
And you're standing there going, no, you can't. No.
That's right.
No.
Definitely no one's going to come if you're swatting.
Yeah.
For
totally.
Sure. 100% for sure. Yeah. So I am sure that all of this wisdom was very hard earned for you. So let's take a quick little moment, dip into what one of my coaches calls the shadow, and talk about what were one of the unexpected hardships along this journey that you could never have seen coming, either in taking on this advisory role or in, when you yourself were living in the shoes, something you couldn't have ever seen.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good question because I feel like there's a lot of them.
I know it's usually quite a long list. So I had to kind of trickle through the list and be like, which one do I want to share? Right.
Right. I think that for me, especially like as a people pleaser and as someone who, I don't know if you're into the Enneagram, but I'm a type 3. So very much like, called the performer. So very just want people to be like, you're so amazing. How do I be more amazing? That really being my gauge of success and goal there, that it was very challenging for me to say, hey, you know what? Like in order for me to feel fulfilled and purposeful, like I feel like I need to step away from this and figure out kind of who I am just as me and what that means like in a career space. So I feel like that was hard because I didn't want to let anyone down. Yeah. And in a way, it felt like a failure almost to do that.
Yeah.
So that was, I would say that was probably one of the bigger challenges there is just getting past that and making that declaration. And then, probably for a year or two after that, it was still like, okay, no, like maybe, I can go back
I can
or
do it. I can do it. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
what was I thinking? Like, so
Yeah.
that's been, yeah,
Yeah. And it's so
that's a
interesting that
big
you
one.
said that people, stay out of obligation in a role that
Yeah,
they're not well suited for. And
yeah,
that was the number one thing on your list. And that's exactly what you had
totally.
the courage to get out of. Right. So
Yeah,
that allows you to be the one forging the path and be able to say, I know how hard it is because I actually had to do it. So
yeah,
I'm sure that you can now see the warning signs of someone who's in a role out of obligation, spotted a mile away, right?
yeah,
And then you can
yes,
encourage them because you have your own depth of experience to pull from and say, hey, gonna be hard,
yeah,
gonna be painful, gonna be maybe awkward for you. And also here's the fruit when you go through it. Yeah.
yeah. It
Yeah.
is, I would say too, that that's probably one of the more challenging aspects of my role now is like
Mhm.
being able to, well, because also I don't want to influence them,
Sure.
for something that's not an organic decision for them. But yes, it's like kind of being able to see, this is how I think that this is going to end, but
Yeah.
that person having to arrive there
That's right.
themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. You can't force them to be there. They have to get there on
yeah,
their own.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
I so badly want to be like, you need to do this, 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 and this, and then this is going to happen, and
It's going to be all better. It's going to be
yeah,
really
yeah,
ugly for a minute
yeah,
and then it's going to be all better. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
hard. Yeah. That's really
It
good.
is.
Now that you know that shadow side, I'm sure there have been equally beautiful unexpected gifts and unexpected delights along the way. So what were one of
Sure.
those?
Let's see. There are plenty of those as well. The list is long, just like the list of the other list. I would say, like I think that I would get in my own head a lot of just like working in the family business of really kind of questioning like, am I intelligent? Do I know what I'm doing? Or do people just kind of placate me and
Yeah.
entertain me and not really think that of me. So to step out and kind of be able to see my efforts and my knowledge transfer to other industries and to other businesses and to other people has been really nice to
Yeah.
not like from a validation standpoint, because I want to be cautious, like that it's not that. It's just that knowing kind of my worth
Sure.
and understanding that I do have a lot to offer.
Yeah.
Because I think I got too bogged down in not feeling that way. And so
Sure.
that's been really great. And also just being able to, again, like I said, like there's not a lot of people out there that really understand what it's like. And so being able to be a resource for people to really be able to connect and say, like,
Yeah.
I know exactly how you feel,
Sure.
is I think is huge. Because
Yeah.
we needed that so desperately in my family and
Yeah.
we're able to get that and really helped us sort through a lot of stuff. We just
Yeah.
really wouldn't be where we are today without that. So,
Yeah. I mean, because you have the business, but you have the family too, right? Like you
yes,
might have a disagreement at work, but then you have to go home and have Thanksgiving dinner the next day or the next two
yes,
days or whatever. So there's that dynamic of you have your work, maybe
uh-huh,
discrepancies, but it's very hard to compartmentalize. And there comes a point when things are breaking down that you can't, right? So being able to
yes,
maintain good relationship and communication and keep the family intact while the business flourishes and even through difficulties in the business, that's a huge challenge. Watch so many family businesses and those who navigate it gracefully. It's a beautiful thing to watch generational transitions. It's a beautiful thing to
hmm,
watch a well considered succession plan where the outgoing family member makes space for the new leadership style and the new
yeah,
capacity of the incoming leader. It's just can be
right,
such a beautiful thing. Really
yes.
beautiful.
And it's so rare.
Yeah.
It's so rare. A lot of times, I won't say a lot of times, but a majority of people that we work with, it's like, if only they would have started maybe like 5 years ago, it
Sure.
would be, but it's usually like when they're ready to make the
Yep.
transition yesterday and
Sure. Right.
yeah.
And start planning that in advance so that when you're ready to exit, you actually can, right? Where you're not
Yes.
being forced to stay longer than what you wanted to because
Yes.
you did it unprepared. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
And you were able to prepare the people coming up after
right.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And taking that allowance for, you mentioned Enneagram, but just understanding yourself, knowing that this is the type of leader I am this profile, this is how I
Yes.
tick. And so I've built a downline of people for me, right? For me
Yes.
to be able to successfully execute this role as CEO or this role as whatever it is. But my
Yes.
incoming family member has a different profile, different strengths, different weaknesses. And the downline that I've built is going to be good, but they're going to need other component parts in their downline that I didn't need, and vice versa. They might bring in a skill that makes someone in their downline no longer as valuable, right? So that dynamic of understanding what you're bringing to the table and that transference, that it might look a little different with a different leader at the front, and just being able to let that ego go, right? We talked about that ego part, and just allow the other person to have what they need to be successful. That takes a lot of humility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A ton.
Yeah. Really cool.
It's
well, I
hard.
love this. Yeah, a ton. And not everybody has it, right?
That's not
I feel like I became a patient person against my will.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I did not want that. Now I'm a hugely patient person, but it was against my will. I really did not want to be patient. And I feel that humility can sometimes be that too. Like you're either going to be forced to let it go, or you can let it go willingly. And which way do you want to go? Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Choose your heart. Neither way is easy. It's choose your heart.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
It's the same thing as what are you willing to give to get it?
Yep.
Right. It's the same dynamic that if you want it, there's going to need to be a change. So what are you willing to change or to give? Same thing. Like if you want to make the transition, you can't retain control and let go of control simultaneously.
Yeah.
So you have to be willing to open up that hand and let go of that control so the next person can step forward.
Yeah. Surrender.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly.
That was my word of the year for like 6 years in a row.
Holy moly.
It took me a long time to figure it out.
You know what? I actually love, so this is a January episode. So I think this is going to give us a little tiny moment to talk about something that totally unplanned. So here we go. Picking a word for the year. So I think that having a word for the year is such a valuable practice, but it's also a cautionary tale. Because if you use the word surrender as your word, there are going to be a lot of opportunities for you to practice surrender.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So whatever word you pick, know that you're going to get the opportunity to practice that. And, having 6 years of surrender, I'm sure you can attest.
Yeah.
That's not an easy path.
No, I didn't seize those opportunities very well.
That's why you kept having to repeat the word and repeat the word. If at first you don't succeed, surrender again. I love
surrender too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that I think that when you choose a word for the year, you're really asking for the capacity to become that. And often that means practice.
Yes.
Yeah. Intense practice. When someone tells me I want to improve my management skills, I just reach back and put on my seatbelt because they're going to have people problems. They're going to have process problems. Stuff is going to break down. And it's like, oh no. Buckle in. It's going to be a rough year ahead. What you choose. Know what you're picking, because you're going to certainly get the opportunity to become that, right?
Yes.
It's going to show up in ways that you did not expect. So.
Exactly. Like, that's why.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's how becoming patient looks. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now I get the opportunity to practice that. So good little piece of advice. Set a word for the year and know that you're calling in all of the opportunity to become that. So pretty powerful. Well, this has been really fun, Brandi. I've so appreciated your dynamic on looking at these family businesses, but not small, right? So Lord of the Market, you've worked hard, you put in some effort, you built something substantial, and you have something to gain and also something at risk. So that family dynamic and managing it becomes even more important because there's something substantial behind it, right? So I love your heart of service for this very specific niche that you yourself have been part of. So, my final question, which those of you who've been following the podcast know what it's going to be, is that given all of your ups and downs and highs and lows and this journeying that you have been spending so many years going through, do you consider yourself to be successful?
Yes. So the answer is yes, because I feel like it takes a special person, like I've been hinting at, to really be able to connect and help people understand and figure out what's next. So that's really how I gauge my level there, is just, I think the success in that I've been able to kind of go through a lot of personal challenges and then be able to translate that into helping others through theirs. That's been, to me, my biggest measure of what success looks like. Is not just, what it means for me, but how am I able to share it with others.
What about that dynamic of family? Having dedicated so much of your career towards family businesses, being in one and now guiding them, how does that play into your as you review whether or not you want to earn that crown of, yes, I am successful? How does that play in? I'm curious.
Well, I think that, one, I'm still married, which I think is the biggest piece of that.
That's good. There you go. Yep.
Two is just able to be able to say that, we were all able to go, you know what, like, we are not the best people to do this. And there are other people out there that can really figure this out and probably do it better because they don't have an emotional attachment to it and an expectation. I think, that was a big thing too. It's like we had a lot of expectations of each other in our family that just were not possible. And so just releasing all of that and being able for everyone to go into a direction and a path that they do feel like is making them feel purposeful and fulfilled, I think is huge. And for me, like, I think that's the measure of success there, that we're not all still acting like we know everything and that we're the only people with the answers. And that took us a long time to figure that out. It did not happen overnight.
I love it. I love it. This is such a beautiful definition. So one of the things that I do for all of my guests is, as they talk about what success means, because, what it means for us as we journey changes, and the measure with which we measure it changes. And so I backwards engineer a little algorithm of what success means for you. So I have the Brandi algorithm of success. So I'm gonna tell you what I've heard, and then if you feel like, hey, there's other component parts, or I'd reorder them or whatever, feel free. Right? This is just a off the cuff thing, and it's one of my favorite things. So let's see what you feel.
Okay.
So for Brandi, success equals having the capacity for insight, translating my own challenges into tools and resources for others to navigate theirs, driving impact, retaining close relationships, the capacity to see the need for help and go get it, surrendering to the highest good, and having me and my immediate circle feel purposeful and fulfilled.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. I need to
write that down.
Yeah, and put it right here big on my desk.
Yeah. I mean, the cool thing about having this reflection of what you've said, right? Because I said it in a version of your words, but not in exactly, is it allows you to see it from a different perspective. And then it also allows you to ask yourself, when you're feeling off, when you're feeling misaligned, which of these component parts is being underserved, right?
Yeah.
Where am I not meeting my own standard of success, right? Is it in my close relationships, or is it in my capacity to see or go get help, right? I love how you shared the story of, you knew that you weren't in the right role and you took the time to understand, like, what would the right role be for me? I need to understand myself first and then pursue something different in my career. Like, you lived it, right? So seeing that, yes, I'm willing to claim that crown of success because I live these measurements in a very, very real way and sometimes radical way. That's really inspiring. And I think it's helpful for you to keep track of these things, or for each one of us to understand what that means for us, and to keep track and to say, where is my gauge off, or has something new entered my paradigm, right? That I need to make space for. Pretty cool. Really cool.
Well, I think I've learned the most from this podcast.
Well, beautiful.
Yeah, that was great.
This is a rising tide lifts all the boats kind of podcast. Yeah, so that's the kind of podcast that we're on.
Yeah.
I think this is beautiful, but this came from you. This is your algorithm of success. I've never had surrendering to the highest good. No one ever has had that as part of their algorithm. So specific just for you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Really cool. I love this for you. So with all of this, if people want to connect with you further or follow you, where can they find you?
So LinkedIn is usually your best bet. And that's, I'm Brandi Marek, Marek. And also on our website, it's Ferguson-Alliance.com. Those are the two areas. You can reach out to us there. Again, we have a lot of resources there as well, videos, blogs, articles, all the things. Yeah.
Wonderful.
That's the best.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on our show today. Thank you for sharing your story so openly and all those difficulties you've had to navigate. It's a really fun episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This was great.
Yeah, my pleasure. So for those of you listening from your cars, from your homes, in the gym, make sure that you pause a little bit today. And first of all, consider, what is your word for 2026? We're still in January. If you haven't set one, this is a beautiful moment to remember to do that, but also to remember that you don't have to stay where you are out of obligation, right? You're allowed to make new decisions. You're allowed to have become someone new and step into something new, but there is going to be a period of change, and there is going to be a period of having to let go, and that's never easy. That surrendering that Brandi was talking about is not so easy to do. So if you're feeling that something pulled on your heartstrings because you're sitting in a role that you're staying in out of obligation, or you are wondering if there's something else for you, give yourself the time and the space to really consider it and to be willing to actionize on the steps that it takes to move from where you are to where you would feel more purposeful and fulfilled. With that, my friends, make it a beautiful week ahead. I'll catch you on the next episode. Bye for now. That's a wrap for today's episode of Bold Enough. Every conversation on this show is an invitation to look at yourself honestly. Consider ambition, leadership, growth, and the kind of success you're truly trying to build. If this conversation resonated with you, be sure to follow the show and share it with someone who also needs it. Come back for more conversations about what success really asks of us and to see the fine-tuned details of every algorithm. I'm Madeline McCray, and I'll catch you the next time.